It's Tuesday, end of August. College football 2 days away. Every single Tuesday, Teddy covers myself and the legend Dave Cokin will be doing the college football betting show. This show is sponsored by WagerTalk.com, SportsMemo.com, and of course, TheGoldSheet.com, where I am getting most of my information from. What we do in this show is we take apart 5 games in depth. Then we have the 2-minute warning where Teddy, Dave, and myself will look at an extra 10 games very quickly. I'd like to bring in my guests for today, Teddy and Dave. Teddy, how are you? I've missed you this summer, man.
You've missed me? Why, because you don't get to argue on podcasts all summer?
Yeah, instead I call you for my fill.
Exactly. Well, we'll have plenty of time to get to argue on the pod all fall long. I'm really looking forward to doing the show with you and Dave.
You know what? Thanks, brother. The show was Dave's idea, and I was like, I got to do a show with Teddy. I mean, the chemistry, there's my mic, by the way. The chemistry with Teddy is unbelievable. Everybody loves us, yelling and screaming at each other. I couldn't go a season without a show with you. Thanks for joining us. And quickly, before we start taking apart the college football, tell us about the show you're doing with Ralph Michaels, where people can find it, how often, the type of format, etc., etc.
Well, it's a new show called, surprise, surprise, Wager Talk, a daily sports central for gamblers. Ralph and I break everything down in an hour that you need to know to make educated wagers that evening. And, of course, all week long, we break down games. We talk about line moves. We talk about why the market's moving where it is. But it's a Vegas-based show, obviously, and every day, noon to 1 Pacific. That's 3 to 4 Eastern time. You can find it on Zumo TV, channel 719.
Well, that was some good deep voice work there. Really quick, everybody, Dave Cokin's microphone and headset will be there tomorrow. So next week, our sound will be perfect. As well, if you see Teddy's image moving a little bit around, that's almost fixed as well. It's unbelievable, Teddy. You're doing your own show now, and you're even older than this old man. It's unbelievable how much technology there goes into this, how many moving parts. It's impossible to get right.
The goal is to get the college football right, not so much making sure the podcast is perfect.
So why don't we get to that before we get into the college football, guys?
Thanks for the intro. I believe it. That's the best intro of all time. None.
Yeah, just completely ignore Dave.
It's like, am I here?
No, Dave. I'm sick of you, dude. It's like every day it's Dave Cokin this and Dave Cokin that.
You could mention that over the last 2 years since I joined Wager Talk, I have the best college football win percentage, and it's something worth noting. Also, I will note this is a first. I can't read my notes, and I need notes for college football without with my shades on. The eyes just won't cooperate. So no shades, just the patch.
That's very rare. I'm trying to think if I've ever seen that eye.
Probably never have.
Yeah, rare.
Well,
enjoy it.
We will be staring at your eye all show.
Make sure it's this one, not this one.
Yeah, well, you know what, Dave? It's a beautiful color, man. And there was definitely a point where you were a handsome cat.
Yeah, years ago, many years ago.
Yeah, let's call it decades.
Yeah, really.
Let's take a quick break. We're going to take 3 breaks in the show, promos for all 3 of us, and then we're right back looking at the first 5 games in depth. We'll be right back. Hey guys, real quick, last season Dave Cokin killed it in college football, 86 units with a 63% win percentage on the entire season. That's absurd. This weekend he has a 5-unit play. That's as high a play as we give out at WagerTalk.com. It's in college football. And long story short, if you go and you buy the play over at WagerTalk.com and you email support at WagerTalk.com and mention this show, we will credit back your entire purchase in wager bucks. So basically, it's free. Just head over to WagerTalk.com. Make sure to get Dave Cokin's 5% college football play for $40. Email support@WagerTalk. Mention this show, and we will credit you back all the money you spent, all $40 in wager bucks. Teddy, we have a promo for you coming up next, and we have one for me as well. So listeners, everybody, please stay tuned. Let's get right to it, boys. The first show we're talking about is Northwestern at Stanford. Line is -6.5 for the home team, Stanford. The over and under is 47.5 in this game. And boys, Northwestern, we'll go to you, Dave, first. Northwestern has just been money. They are on a 17-4 ATS road run. They pulled upsets recently against Purdue, Michigan State, Iowa, and at Minnesota. This team is a tough team to play against. What are you doing in this game?
Well, and everything you just said is accurate as far as Northwestern's concerned. But the odds makers have built that into the line on this football game because it power rates higher than 6.5. It power rates more like 9 or 10. So if you like Northwestern, you're going to be paying a premium for their incredible success as an underdog. Really, since Fitzgerald's been there, he's a great coach. I think Stanford's the better club. I think they're considerably better at quarterback with Costello. Northwestern, I guess, whoever they end up with, and there's still some debate as to who's actually going to be the quarterback in this team.
Yeah.
I think there's a downgrade from where there was with Thorson, who was just absolutely sensational. And Stanford's a good club at home. I think the number's short. It's not going to be a play for me because, quite frankly, I do have a great deal of regard for what Fitzgerald has been able to accomplish in the underdog role. I mean, his team just absolutely thrives in this scenario. But I know going in, and everybody who's betting this game should know going in, you're paying a premium if you want to bet Northwestern in terms of the power ratings. And I'm not saying my power ratings are absolutely locked in as the best power ratings around, but they're pretty good. And you're getting about 2 to 3, maybe even 4 points, the worst of it, on my power ratings. Nevertheless, even though that might indicate a play on Stanford for me, I'm not going to use it because, again, Northwestern finds a way to be super competitive in these games.
Teddy, the scheduling edge right now, at least short term, goes to Northwestern. They've got UNLV on deck, whereas Stanford has their Pac-12 opener against USC. You got to take that stuff into account in football. What do you like in this game?
You have to take it to account. You have to take that into account when a team's playing a patsy in week 1 and they're playing somebody good week 2. Clemson's your prime example here of a team that you want to, do I really want to lay 35, 36 week 1 when you know they're going to hold things back for A&M week 2? That is one example. This is not a game where I would anticipate Stanford's going to hold something back for USC. Stanford's got to win this game. And everything I've read about the Cardinal program this offseason has been mediocre to negative. All right, they're struggling to sell tickets. This was a program that was hot 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You can buy tickets real cheap for this game right now and for all the Stanford home games this season. The program, 12 wins, then 10, then back-to-back 9-win seasons. Program starting to trend downward slightly. We like Stanford's returning quarterback, but there's not a lot else I like about the Cardinal this year. They're a team I'm generally looking to fade, not the bet. I'm with Dave 100% in that I'm not getting the proper value to fade them here. This is not a game I'm going to play.
I agree with both of you. Guys, just looking at the total, and I know, Dave, you're not a big totals guy, but my research has told me both of these teams I've got as under teams on the year. 47.5, though, in college football, that's pretty low. I'm going to pass outright on this total. Dave or Teddy, do either of you have a thought?
No.
I mean, my lean was to the under, but the number came shorter than I thought it would and has already been bet down.
Yeah, so same with me. Same with me. I mean, I'm liking it at around 51, but I feel like it's just a bit too
You're
low.
not going to see a 51.
Yeah, well, that's what I just said, Teddy. Are you starting with me already?
I'm only beginning to start with you. We have weeks and weeks and weeks of this to go, Lawrence.
Check out the pipes.
Nice, thanks.
He's Teddy Covers, Dave Cokin with us. Remember, everyone, Dave Cokin's he's got a 5-unit play up in college football for this weekend. So do I. We'll talk about mine later. And you can get Dave's for basically no money. Head over to WagerTalk.com. It's $40 to buy the play. Email support@WagerTalk.com. Let him know you heard about the offer on the college football betting show. They will credit back your account $40, the entire thing. Guys, let's talk about Virginia Tech and Boston College. More interesting quarterback scenarios in that game. We got the home team at plus 4.5 with a total of around 58. There are a few 57s. William Hill has one, and there's a couple of 58.5s, including at Bet365. So if it lands on 58, there's a middle sitting and waiting for you. Dave, BC has been an unbelievable dog. They're 6-2-2 in their last 10 ATS as a dog. They play mistake-free on offense. They've got a great running game with A.J. Dillon. What are you doing in this one?
I don't know what to do with Boston College yet because there's I'll call it a red flag going in. It's not something that I'm automatically going to say is going to doom them, but sometimes it takes time for a team with new coordinators on both sides of the ball to really find their mojo. And that's the situation for Boston College. New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. I don't generally like to play on those teams, although there are exceptions to that. And certainly the exceptions are when it's maybe a bad program that just needed some changes. Boston College really doesn't fall into that category. Virginia Tech likely gets motivation right from the get-go, with this being the final season for Bud Foster as their defensive coordinator. He's one of the legends in the game.
Yeah.
And they're going to be ready. I like Justin Fuente as well. I know the team maybe didn't live up to everybody's billing last season, but I think they're probably a better team this year than they were a season ago. I thought the number on this game when it opened was a little bit short, with Virginia Tech just 2.5. That's not the case anymore. It's gone through the key number to 4.5. I don't disagree with that line movement, but at 4.5, I guess I have to say I'm off the game. I wasn't ever really on it, but now I'm definitely off it because whatever value there was in the Hokies, it's just kaput at this point. But I don't want Boston College here, I can tell you that.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about the side. I actually have a thought on the total I'll give after Teddy speaks. But Virginia Tech, 2-7 in their last 9 as an away favorite. Tough team to play on in this spot. And you're right about Bud Foster. This Virginia Tech defense last year was horrible. I expect a bounce-back season by them. Teddy, where are you going in this one?
Well, the question is, and in my mind, this is a 1-point handicap. Is Virginia Tech's defense what it was last year or comparable, or has Bud Foster going to work his magic and take a defense? I mean, look at the defense. Look at the numbers last year. They gave up 49 to Old Dominion, 45 to Notre Dame, 49 to Georgia Tech. That was a bad Georgia Tech team. 52 to Pitt, 38 to Miami, 35 to Cincy in the bowl game. The defense didn't get the job done. BC is not a team that's going to come from 3 scores back to beat you. BC needs to run the football to be effective. If Virginia Tech shuts down the run, they're going to win the game. They're going to cover the point spread. The game's probably going to stay under the total. If Virginia Tech cannot stop the run, then BC is going to run the ball down their throats all evening long. So in my mind, this is a live wagering opportunity game. I want to see how that Virginia Tech defense looks because I've read all the reports telling me Virginia Tech's defense is going to be this much better. I want to see it before I bet it.
Look, I agree with what you're saying, but I'm going to gamble on Virginia Tech's defense being better. Perennially, they're one of the best defenses in the league, and they had a shocking season last year. They're playing a BC team that's going to run. It's going to slow the game down, and I think Virginia Tech will get stout towards their end of the field. I see more field goals and touchdowns in this game, and I'm getting a 58 and a half. I like the under in this game, Dave, Teddy. But I understand, look, we need to see what this Virginia Tech defense is really made of. I just don't know if I'm going to get this type of number again against an opponent that's going to run the ball as much as Boston College will. So I'm going to jump on it, and I'm going to take the under in this spot. Dave?
Okay. I don't even bother with totals. I don't look at them. I'm not a totals player in any sport for a simple reason. I'm not very good at them. So I concentrate on what I'm good at. I can tell you this. Virginia Tech is going to get a real test against a great running back, an NFL running back that plays for Boston College, who was not healthy for much of last year, and that was a big key for Boston College. He's healthy now, and we'll see what Virginia Tech does against him.
I'm going to ask you this, Prez. You said, well, I think we'll see more field goals than touchdowns here. Why? What gives you that thought?
Well, I think ultimately Boston College is going to run the ball a lot. And, Teddy, I'm going to put last year's defensive woes of Virginia Tech out of my head. And I know you're not supposed to, but this team has just been so good for the last many decades on defense, and especially a run stopping.
If you grade out their defensive personnel, Prez, it's not even close to what they had 5 years ago.
No.
Recruiting there has gone down on defense, and it's really clear to see when you look at the talent on the field.
They only have what I would call, on the grades that I do, they only have 2 stars on defense. Ashby is one of them, and one of the defensive backs, so I'm going to have to look up his name, Reggie Floyd. And that's pretty much it. The rest of this defense grades out as very average.
He's Dave Cokin. Teddy covers with us. You're watching College Football Betting Show, brought to you by WagerTalk, Sports Memo, and the Gold Sheet. Let's talk about the Boise State, Florida State game, guys. We have the home team at -4.5. We have a total of 53. I believe there's... Sorry, Dave?
That total's going to come down because there is a real possibility that we could have some stiff wind in this game. Not for sure yet, but you got a tropical storm that's projected to be in the area on the weekend. And if that's the case, at best, you're going to have windy conditions. It actually could impact, at worst case, the game might get moved and not played.
The reports I'm seeing, Dave, is that this when you look at the storm projections, this game may or may not be played this week.
Right.
I'll put it that way.
Well, we still need to talk about it as if it is. And Dave, I'll go to you first. I believe there's going to be value on Florida State all year, really, and especially at the beginning. They're coming off their first losing season since 1976. They went 4-8 ATS. They're returning 16 starters. And sure, they have a new QB, but Blackman started 12 games in 2017. I like Florida State in this game.
Yeah, I can see it. They need to prove it to me. But Florida State has a chance to be vastly improved this season. There's no question about that. Taggart's got some good personnel to work with. It's his second year there. Kendall Briles is now running the offense. And look, Kendall Briles can coach offense, okay? He'll be a head coach eventually. Florida State's going to be a handful for teams, and it won't take them long to figure out what he's doing. I have some concerns about Boise State and starting a freshman at quarterback in what will be, even though it's technically a neutral field, it's going to be hostile surroundings. And quite honestly, I know a lot of people like him, and some people have him as a coach that might get a big job after this year. I'm just not a big Brian Harsin fan, to tell you the truth. I have not considered him to be an outstanding coach. I've got my doubts about Boise State. I don't think they're the best team in the Mountain West this year. It's just a question to me of whether Florida State is ready to put a beat down on a team like Boise. But I would lean that side, certainly.
Teddy, so far you're not annoying me. It's upsetting. What do you like in this game?
Well, I'll start annoying you by now. Have you looked at the camera once? Have you said hi to our audience? You're like reading off a script, dude. It's like, where's your personality? Where's Prez? I'm seeing some guy who's like, oh, Florida, I believe it. Come on, let's go. All right.
Okay, good. So that's how you're going to start with me. You're going to question my freaking handicapping ability.
No, I'm telling you that I'm not questioning your handicapping ability. I'm questioning you not interacting with their audience because you're reading your
Well,
notes.
I'm not as good.
Okay,
I'm not as good a host as you.
I've got notes here.
I'm not as good a host as you, Teddy. What can I
gotta
tell
look
you,
up
man?
Once in a while, I haven't seen your beautiful eyes this whole show.
Oh, God.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now I'm going to throw up.
Really?
Let's start with this. The right guy won the Florida State quarterback job. You know, where the question was, it was Blackman or Hornibrook. And if Hornibrook would have won the job, we would have all been nervous because we've seen Hornibrook play at Wisconsin for the last 4 years. He's not that good. He is who he is. So the right guy won the job. Then we talk about the QB situation on the others. And one other note for Florida State. They're starting a true frosh on the offensive line for the first time since 2008. That could be an issue. Boise State's defensive front is solid. And Boise State's offensive front is solid. Their entire starting offensive line returns. This is a team they've beaten Washington. They've been Washington State and Oregon State. They've been competitive with the Pac-12 squads. But you see them step up in class and go face the speed schools. Well, Hokie State last year, 44. I remember the Ole Miss game, 35-13. Boise non-competitive in defeat. I am with Dave in not being a Broncos believer this year, but I don't know if I'm a Florida State believer either. The market's kind of bullish on the Seminoles. I want to see it before I bet it.
Yeah, that's where I am in the game. I mean, we don't have to bet every game, and I bet a lot of games in college football.
Yeah.
But this game's not going to make my ticket. It's a learning game as much as anything else. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you chose this game to talk about, Dave Cokin.
It's a big game. It's a big game. When I put the 5 games I chose for our Big 5 are going to be 5 of the heaviest volume betting games of the day. I think people want to hear what our views are on those games.
Yeah, and they want to hear my views, especially when I'm reading, right, Teddy?
Yeah, keep reading.
Okay, brother. So we're going to Oregon, Auburn. You know what this is? This is like to fix my internet. Oregon, I should get my reading glasses. I got reading glasses, Teddy.
Yeah, exactly. And it begins. The false teeth are coming next.
Oregon, Auburn, boys. I love this game. I'm betting this game. I'm going to stay out of giving an opinion on this game. If you head over to WagerTalk.com and buy my package, you will see my opinion on this game. This is one of my favorite games of the weekend. Minus 3.5 to the home team. 55 is the total. Dave Cokin, I hand it to you. No reading there, Teddy.
This is a good ball game. I mean, it's a huge game for both teams because the loser of the game is effectively out of the playoff chase in 1 week. Oregon would have to win out. They'd have to go unbeaten the rest of the way and hope that they can get in with 1 loss. Auburn has a murderous schedule. So if they lose this game, it's not going to be their only loss of the season. The big question for Auburn is the quarterback spot.
Yeah.
They're going to be going with someone who's basically untested at quarterback here, and we'll see how they function in a massive setting to start the season. Oregon certainly has to be given an edge there with a Heisman Trophy candidate who could be the first quarterback off the board in next year's draft. The flip side of it is, I think this Auburn team is really loaded. Okay, I mean, their defense, holy crap, do they have speed on defense. And that's going to give Oregon some fits, and they might be able to physically beat up on a Pac-12 team at the point of attack. I mean, sorry, Pac-12 fans, but the one reputation, and you can say it's a stereotype, but I think it's accurate, is that the Pac-12 is a soft conference. And when they get out against other big-time competition, they get beaten in the trenches on a consistent basis because they're just not as physically strong. And I think that might be the case for Oregon in this matchup with Auburn. So to me, you've got a matchup of finesse on the Oregon side, and they are loaded as far as that goes. Great skill position talent on this team. against the power in the trenches of Auburn and a very fast defense. And this is just an extraordinarily tough game, in my opinion. It's of all the games in the schedule, and I hate to say this in a game we're featuring, but this is probably the last game I bet on the entire schedule. I don't know what's going to happen, but I really feel strongly that by watching this game, I'm going to get a great idea of when to play on or against Oregon and when to play on or against Auburn. So it's a game I'm going to be glued to.
Now, the Pac-12 as a conference has been the best Power 5 conference when it comes to road dog roll. The Pac-12, for whatever reason, as a conference, they've been really good in these type of early season non-conference games. And this dates back a decade plus. So it's not a short-term sample size, a significant sample size. That teams like Oregon have been good bets. First of all, the reports from Auburn, out of Auburn, about what Nix is, Bo Nix, the kid that won the job. I like this kid better than Stidham already.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, and obviously, and one thing that we do is we pay attention to how the quarterbacks do in the NFL preseason. And Stidham's having a pretty good preseason in New England. He's looked as good or better than he ever looked at Auburn. So when you're getting all these positive reports out of the kids in camp saying, hey, this quarterback can play, we know what Auburn's capable of doing in the trenches, and we know that the defense has speed, which tells us very clearly that the advantage, Oregon's advantage is their team speed blows you away on offense, and that's what they do, and they got a quarterback who can run and throw. But when you have a defense that can solve that problem, that's not advantage for Oregon. Auburn or pass for this better.
He's Teddy Covers, Dave Cokin with us. You're watching the College Football Betting Show, brought to you by WagerTalk, Sports Memo, and Gold Sheet. And don't forget, guys, if you head over to the Gold Sheet, if you head over to WagerTalk and Sports Memo and you want to pick up the Gold Sheet, first ever edition under new management, that'd be us. It's $1 this week only. Use the promo code COKIN1, COKIN 1, and you can get that at sportsmemo.com and wagertalk.com. Guys, last game on...
Prez, because it's really important to note, nothing changed with the Gold Sheet when we bought it.
Yes.
It's not like we're editing it now. It's the same guys. We're just on the management team. So the information you're used to getting from the Gold Sheet will be exactly the same info you're getting this year from the Gold Sheet. Those guys do it very, very well. Thank you, Prez.
Yeah, it's
on pods. No texting on pods.
It's a great point, Teddy. I was texting you to shut up. It's a great point, brother. I mean, honestly, the Gold Sheet's been written by Gary and Bruce for like 600 years. And yeah, we retained them. They are still the lead writers at the Gold Sheet. And also, everybody, a real quick message. I forgot to mention this on First Pitch today. All three websites, WagerTalk, Gold Sheet, and Sports Memo. See Teddy looking into the camera.
There you go.
Look at that.
Okay, Groucho.
All three websites under a redesign should be up in the next month. Guys, Fresno, USC, last game in the Big Five, we're taking apart. USC, huge favorite, minus 13.5 with Stanford on tap. But Dave, I mean, let's get to the bottom line here. No team has been more profitable than Fresno State in the last 3 years. This team is 23-6-1 against the spread. With that said, they have played to the under. 8-21-1 to the under throughout that period of time. If you've been betting Fresno State and the under for 3 years, you would be up a ton. Dave Cokin, what are we doing here?
Okay, and I'll give you the one problem with that. What they did the last 3 years against the spread means absolutely nothing.
Yep.
Nothing. I can't stress. Look, that's just
nothing.
It's not going to get you paid, okay? And Fresno State is not going to surprise anybody anymore. This is a program that was a top 25 program last year. They're not as good this year, but they're still... It's kind of like the market's looking at him and saying, Fresno State way down. No more McMarion. Lost a couple of other key guys. That's it for them. I don't agree. First of all, Jeff Tedford is a really, really good college football coach at this level. and he's a much better coach than Clay Helton. And I would worry about laying a bunch of points with Clay Helton against Jeff Tedford, quite frankly. And I don't know that quarterback situation is going to be as bad as everybody makes it out to be. The guy who's going to play, he's not McMarion, but he's got plenty of experience. He's a senior, and he should be okay. Here's the other issue. And I mean, they're betting USC like the game's over. This is going to be a big liability game for the books because it's a late game. It's going to get a ton of volume. And the public and maybe the sharps are all going to be on USC. But, boy, how many times have you seen USC with the same bullshit hype going into the season, and then they fail to live up to expectations? Yeah. I still go back to 2 years ago or 3. They're laying a big number against Western Michigan. Western Michigan was coming off a great season, but they'd lost everybody. And it's like, well, Western Michigan's going to be way down, and USC's loaded. And USC ended up winning the game by a completely misleading score because they got outplayed for 3+ quarters by Western Michigan. And it was a Western Michigan team that, in fact, did turn out to be kind of lousy. I think the best thing that can happen for USC is for them to have another crappy year. And then they can go pay Matt Campbell a bunch of money and get him out of Iowa State. Because I think ultimately Matt Campbell's going to go to a really big school. Or maybe they can hire Tedford away from Fresno. USC on paper is clearly the better football team. They've got better athletes. Their quarterback is going to be in the NFL someday. This is a team that has a chance to be very good. But if you're asking me whether I think they will live up to billing, the answer is probably not. And they'll have to prove it to me here. I'm not taking Fresno in the game. The power rate's about 10 on my numbers, so I think there's a bit of value on the Fresno State side. But not enough for me to play. And again, I'll be cautious, even though I don't think it's going to happen. I'll be cautious and say, well, maybe this is the year Helton puts it together at USC. But as it stands right now, I'm probably going to be looking for spots to bet against the Trojans, just like I usually do in games that matter, because they almost never win them. They're not a well-coached football team.
Yeah, Teddy, I'm with Dave completely. I like Fresno in this game. I like them a little more than Dave. I can see myself going to the window with this one. Teddy, what are you doing?
Well, let's talk about how to bet this game, because in my mind, that's something we have to discuss right here, right now. If you want USC, bet them sooner, not later. Okay, the 13.5s, they're still out there. I would anticipate, being that it's been nothing but USC money and being that the leading indicator books are already 13.5 minus juice, this line is going to 14, may go to 14.5. Who knows how high it gets on game day. So if you like the favorite, you bet it right now. If you like the dog, there's no rush.
Agreed.
Right.
Although, all that being said, I don't think that we're going to see a bevy of USC money against Fresno, because everybody who's bet Fresno for the last 2 years has made money, and everyone that's bet USC the last 2 years has lost money, period. So there's no betting bandwagon for the Trojans. Clay Helton, week 1, not a good track record. Remember that Bama game?
Oh.
You talked about the Western Michigan game. UNLV last year?
Yes.
That was a competitive game for 3 quarters till USC made things pulled away late. But they never sniffed the point spread cover there. And with McMarion graduating for Fresno, he wasn't that good. It wasn't like they were, this is the quarterback, and that's why the team's covering point spreads. That defense, held over a 5-week span, held 4 opponents to 7 points or less. It's still a pretty good defense for Tedford, even though he's got the reputation as a quarterback guru.
He's Teddy on the press. Go ahead, Dave.
I agree with you sort of on McMarion. I don't think he was the most gifted in terms of skills, but Teddy, he was a really smart and heady quarterback, and that they'll miss his intelligence on the field.
Yeah, he didn't make many mistakes.
No.
I would certainly give you that. And anytime you're breaking a new QB, you have to expect some early season mistakes.
Guys, we're going to take a quick break. Then we're back with the 2-minute warning. We're going to take apart 10 games. We're going to take them apart. We're going to take them apart quick. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, really quick, big promotion for Teddy Covers. You can get this promotion at WagerTalk.com. Teddy's got a tremendous trifecta up in college football this week. Last year, Teddy went 4-0 in week 1 of college football. And check this out, a ridiculous 20-4 start to the football season in both college and the NFL. He's got 3 plays up at WagerTalk.com in college football this week. The regular price is $75. Head over and use the promo code TR150. TR150. I have no idea why anybody picked that code. It was sent to me by head office. That's what it is. TR150. That's 50% off. $39 for Teddy's 3 college football plays. Theodore, you want to talk about them?
Talk about what?
Why they should buy that package?
Because I expect it's going to win. That's why it's posted.
You're a genius.
That's the only reason to buy the package. If you don't think they're going to win, don't buy the package. I think those are 3 rock solid plays. I know the Cokin's with me on at least one of them. So that's always a good sign. And Cokin was the best college football handicapper when you talked last year. I heard that somewhere.
Yeah, and for the last few years. Brother, let's get to it. The 2-minute warning. Cincinnati, UCLA. Line came out at 4. It's down to 2.5. 57 on tap. I think we're going to see some surprising games by Chip Kelly and the UCLA offense. Do not sleep on this team. This is his 2nd year now. Dave Cokin, take it away.
Yeah, don't sleep on Cincinnati either.
Yeah, really tough matchup for both teams.
Tremendous opening week game. UCLA, everything I'm hearing, and I do have some good connections at UCLA, is that last year Kelly was kind of conservative in terms of the playbook. This year he trusts the personnel more, and they're going to open things up and look for them to throw to the running backs more than they did last year. That's a big part of Chip Kelly offenses. Cincinnati is a very exciting team, strong at quarterback. They picked up another wide receiver who's eligible right away, a kid named Blue, who's going to help them. If Cincinnati wins this, they might actually be the favorite to get to the January 1st major bowl game. They're that good. I did make a play on this game. It's part of the package that I have up at WagerTalk. So if you want to find out more, buy the package.
I'm texting, Teddy. You know what I'm texting?
I have no idea. I hope you're not sexting me, please.
No, dude. I got my fantasy football draft tonight. It starts at 8 o'clock, which is in literally 20 bloody minutes. What are you doing in this game?
Oh, okay. So we're both giving opinions on all the games. I've heard nothing but UCLA hype. No, I mean, the UCLA hype, every newspaper article in LA is telling me how great they've looked in practice and how this year Chip Kelly's offense is going to explode. And no one's talking about this Cincinnati team that won 11 games last year and can run the football. You can run the football against UCLA, you're going to win the game. You're going to cover the spread. It's going to stay under the total. I don't want the Bruins. All hype. I need to see it on the field.
Utah versus BYU, Dave. The total in this game is 48. 48. Since 2015, week 1 games with the total of 48, 68% to the under. Small line move. Utah came out at -7. It's down to 6. Where are you going?
This is going to be a pros versus Joes in the opening week of the season. Just about everybody's power ratings will have Utah considerably better than BYU. The public is betting Utah in this side in this game. The sharper dollars have shown on BYU, and you can't do better in terms of a rivalry, an opening week, than a revisit of the Holy War. They ended their regular season last year against one another. BYU blew a huge lead in that football game. Utah, if there's going to be a Pac-12 team that breaks through and gets to the playoffs this year, Utah is the most likely team. And you've got a coach in the hot seat at BYU. And the Cougars, if they lose this game, a really good chance they open the season 0-4 and might be looking at an in-season coaching change. Monster game for both teams.
Yeah, Teddy, talk to me, brother.
Okay, I'll talk to you this. The line is actually, Prez, going up, not down. What happened was they opened 7, over the summer were bet down as low. Are there 3.5s out there? I think there were. There were certainly 4s and 4.5s out there.
Yeah.
And so far this week, we've seen the money start to trickle in on Utah again. And that's because Zach Moss, there were concerns about Zach Moss's health. And now all reports are he's going to be good enough to go for the Utes. And Zach Moss is, a stud running back who is the focal point of the Utes offense. BYU is going to remember what happened last year. The previous 2 meetings, both competitive games. Last year, they're up by 3 scores with a minute left in the fourth. And the only points Utah has was on a long pick 6. And BYU let it get away. And there was a special teams touchdown and a late score at the end to cover the spread. And it was really a very ugly loss for the Cougs. And Dave, you nailed it. Satake when you want to talk about a coach who needs to win a game, the BYU program's going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Satake needs this game, or I don't think he will be the BYU head coach next year at this time.
Another big game on tap, week 1, Oak State versus Oregon State. 14.5. Huge total of 75. Dave, where are you going in this one?
Oregon State's one of those teams that right now is getting a lot of play in terms of them being improved this season, and I think they probably will be. I like Jonathan Smith. I thought he did a pretty good job last year, despite the fact they were only 2-10. One troubling note, though, and on a team like Oregon State, this injury hasn't gotten much notice, but Bradford, he's their best receiver, and he's out. And they're also missing one of their starters on the defensive side, and I have my doubts about their depth. I don't know if Oregon State can hang around for 40 minutes for 60 minutes in this game. Oklahoma State this could be one of those pullaways in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I love these high spreads like a -14, -18, -20. Sometimes that dog can hold on tight going into halftime, and you can get the game line at -7 or 8. So make sure to take a look at that while it's being played, because I agree with Dave. I think it's going to be close for a while, and I think Oak State is going to pull away. Talk to me, Teddy.
Why do you think it's going to be close for a while? This Oregon State team was the epitome of garbage last year, okay? They were a really bad football team. And I understand now, second year under Jonathan Smith, and the schemes are in place. The talent isn't there, all right? Corvallis is not a tough place. That's a tough place to get to sometimes. It's not a tough place to play. This isn't one of these home fields you're like, oh, better watch out about Corvallis. I think Okie State's going to go in there and kick their ass. I want no part of the dog.
Ole Miss versus Memphis. Dave, Memphis 9-2 ATS in their last 11 at home. Ole Miss 0-7 in their last 7 as a dog. Where are we going in this one? Memphis -5.5.
It's a monster game for Memphis because they're a team that they have a legitimate chance to win their conference and to get to a January 1st bowl game. But a lot of that goes out the window if they can't beat Ole Miss. I think they can, but whether they can handle the pressure will be interesting. By the way, talk about a veteran staff. Mississippi now has Rich Rodriguez as their offensive coordinator, and Mike McIntyre is their defensive coordinator. Now, and I don't know how to look at that because sometimes guys who've been head coaches for a long time, not really used to being assistants and taking orders from somebody, if you will. And especially in this case, let's just say a new coach in Matt Luke. I don't know how it's going to work. So we'll see what Ole Miss does. I think there's some talent there. Memphis probably wins this game, though.
Yeah, and I remember the game, they had that step-up game against UCLA 2 years ago, and they got a ton of hype and took a ton of money in that game, and the Bruins punched them right in the mouth.
Yeah. And
Memphis came back and won that game, and that was, set the stage for it was an exceptional season. The year before, they had Kansas come to town. And again, I know Kansas is garbage, but when the big schools come to Memphis, the fans pay attention and the Tigers pay attention, and they take care of business. All that being said, there'll be plenty of Ole Miss fans in attendance here, not far away. I don't like anything about Ole Miss. I don't like the direction of the program. I don't like the coach. I don't like the quarterback. I don't like the offensive line. They're bigger than Memphis. They're faster than Memphis a little bit. It's still not enough to get me the window with the dog.
South Carolina against North Carolina, -10, Dave, over and under 63. I like the over in this game. I think we're going to see a high-scoring game. Where are you going with this?
Well, and I'll do a little promotion here. And I say this all the time. I get my games up at WagerTalk early because everybody can get line, unless you're an idiot. Sorry, that's the right way to phrase it. You have access to early numbers. If you're still betting with one bookmaker who doesn't put his games out until a couple of days before the game, then find another out, okay? So I put South Carolina out at -7 or -7.5. So we've already nailed the closing line. Look, I like the North Carolina hire of Mac Brown. I think he's the right guy to stabilize a program that was in complete chaos at the end of last season. But I don't think he's got the material on hand to be good. Will Muschamp is really under the gun at South Carolina. I don't know how good a season they'll have because they've got a murderous schedule. But they are the considerably better football team here. I think 7 was too short. It's probably settling into about where it should be now at 10. South Carolina should win this game.
Teddy covers?
Yeah, I mean, and I think there may be some value with South Carolina down the road because of that schedule. When you think about they got Alabama and at Missouri and at Georgia and Florida and at A&M and then Clemson to close. I mean, they do face a legitimately brutal slate, which means when they're not facing an elite team, you might find some value with them, especially if they lose a game like this or they lose some of those big ones early on. I'm with you on Muschamp being under the gun here. And certainly you look at South Carolina's talent. It doesn't compare. North Carolina's talent doesn't compare on either side of football. And if the Gamecocks do what they're supposed to do, they should win this by multiple scores. Mac Brown, you like the hire? I don't know if I like it.
No, I like it from this standpoint. This will take a second. It goes back 20 years. But you might not know it, Prez, but Teddy certainly will. When UNLV was almost gone in college basketball because of the turbulence at the end of the Billy Bano era. I mean, they were dangerously close to literally being shut down. They hired old Charlie Spoonhour, who was a good coach, who was not brought here necessarily to win a lot of games, but to stabilize a program that was in complete chaos. And that's exactly what Spoon did. And he got them back on the right track, and it eventually led to them hiring Lon Kruger, and at least for a brief window, going back to what UNLV used to be. I think that's what they're doing with North Carolina. Mac Brown's not going to be a long-term fix. But short-term, I think he's the perfect guy to get the program back on the same page and back to respectability in terms of the program's stature nationally. Because they got embarrassed the last few years with all the off-the-field shit. And they need a guy like Mac Brown.
Guys, we're going to take a quick 20-second break, and then we're right back with the final 5 games. And boys, we need to do those fast. I'm the Prez. Thanks, guys, so much for watching. Really quick, I ended last year on a 12-4 college football run, an 8-2 college football sides run. I got a 5-unit play up for this weekend over at WagerTalk.com. The regular price is $40. I just used the promo code PREZ15. That's PREZ15. It's yours for $15. Go over to WagerTalk.com and get down on that play. Boys, 15 seconds each of you. Duke, Alabama. Go, Dave.
Alabama, when they're interested against a bad team, it's a bloodletting, especially early on. They have New Mexico State next week. They'll be more interested in the Duke game. Bad news for the Blue Devils. First half Alabama, which has been a big winner and probably figures to be again here.
I love that first half bet, Dave. Teddy, Bama's 5-12-1 in their last 18 against the spread when 28 points or more against a non-conference foe. Do you take that into account, or are they going to just slaughter Duke?
Well, when you look at what Bama has done in their openers, okay, Saban with extra 100 pair, obviously 17-0 straight up. But The last 4 years, 4-0 straight up, 4-0 against the spread. They're beating Whiskey, USC, Florida State, Louisville. Solid teams. Louisville wasn't solid last year, but the first three obviously were, all by significant margins. Things I don't do, bet against Saban with extra time to prepare in week 1 of the season.
Miami, Ohio on the road playing Iowa. Iowa, big favorite here, minus 21.5 with a total, Dave. That is only a little bit more than double the side. There's a lot of great stats on that. I'm going to speak to Ralph in the next couple of days and try to tweet him out. But bottom line, where are we going?
Iowa might be better than I thought they were originally. They've been ticking up in my ratings, but they're just not a team you want to lay a gigantic number with, because it's just Kirk Ferentz just follows the script and grinds out wins, and they're not a big scoring offensive team. Miami of Ohio could probably hang around in this game.
Teddy?
Yeah, I mean, ironically, Ferentz has been pretty good in the home chalk role, but when you start talking 21.5 in a game that's lined 48.5, and what I want when I'm laying 21.5 in a game that's lined at 48.5 is big-time playmakers. Someone who can catch the ball, pick a handoff, and go to the house. Iowa doesn't have that skill position talent, that skill position speed, and that will leave me off the Hawkeyes in this point spread range.
Dave, Pittsburgh, line moved from -1 to Virginia at 2.5, 45 on tap is the total. What are you doing here?
Virginia is a really popular team going into this season. I think they're a good football team, and they have revenge as a motive here against Pittsburgh. But the public hype might be a little bit too high in this game. It's not like Pittsburgh's got a bunch of stiffs. I really like the Mark Whipple hire as the offensive coordinator. I know head coach at UMass is like, well, why do you like that guy? Because with no talent at all, he put a lot of points on the board with nothing at UMass. And he's got more than nothing with Pittsburgh. If the Panthers' defense improves, and I think it has a chance to, Pittsburgh could be a better team than people think. This is one of the best games on the week 1 card. I think it's a toss-up.
Teddy?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. This, to me, is the ultimate pick-em game, which means if I get 3 with either side, I'll probably take a look. The markets haven't gotten there yet, but these two teams grade out very, very evenly in my numbers. And, Bronco, Mendenhall maybe had Virginia a little bit ahead of Pitt last year, but last year was last year. This year is this year.
Guys, Sunday night, Houston, Oklahoma. Houston 13-4 against the spread as a dog. Oklahoma 9-2-1 in their last 12 to the over at home. 82-83 on the board. Oklahoma -24. I think Houston is a very live dog here, even though I expect Oklahoma to have an outstanding season and potentially vie for a playoff spot. Dave?
Well, look, Oklahoma, they're going to score a ton of points. But one thing I'll say on the Houston side, you might want to kind of cross off what happened at the end of last season, because the Ed Oliver situation was just really bad. The team disintegrated, and then you saw what happened in the bowl game against Army, which was a complete embarrassment. They're not that bad. I think Houston might be able to hang in this football game, although I doubt very much if it's going to get a bet from me.
Teddy?
Yeah, Holgerson's first game as the Cougs head coach, it's a fascinating matchup. And when you're talking about a total of 82.5 in week 1, you know what the game's going to look like. As soon as you're going to put up theirs, the only question is whether the Cougs can score enough to hang in this ball game. They might be able to. Oklahoma defensively, they haven't been shutting teams down and covering numbers in this range on a regular basis. But at this time, at this spread, I'm not involved in the game.
Notre Dame, Louisville, last game we're going to talk about. It's Monday night. Notre Dame, 20.5 favorite here. 54 on tap, Dave.
Louisville, maybe the biggest coaching upgrade in years in college football. Honestly, what's his name, who's gone now. Petrino. It was a disaster last year. The team quit regularly in games. I mean, literally gave up, said to hell with it. Satterfield, this guy is a rising superstar in college football, and I think he'll improve Louisville. I think he'll improve them in a hurry. But maybe this is a little too soon. I won't play it, but I do expect Louisville to be a team that, as the season progresses, will put money in your pocket as a big dog.
Teddy, 15 seconds. Let's go.
I don't disagree. Jeez, you're in a rush. What, do you got a fantasy draft or something?
Yeah, dude, it's starting in 2 freaking minutes because you had to go pick your child up because he's important.
No, it's because I had to shoot videos.
Blah, blah. You're wasting time, Teddy. What are you doing in this game?
I'm trying to antagonize you and mock you for having your fantasy draft. I see you, dude. You're sweating. Your fingers are tapping.
Talk!
I'm talking. I haven't stopped talking about this game. Oh, I haven't started talking about this game. All right. Notre Dame reached the championship, the college football playoffs last year. I do not expect that to happen this year. Coming into the season, I have the Fighting Irish as something of an overvalued commodity, which means the only way I can look here is towards the dog, and I don't want this dog week 1. Lean Louisville. I will not get to the window.
Guys, that's the show. First college football betting show of the year in the bag. Quick recap. Dave Cokin, 5% play up at WagerTalk. It's $40. Buy it. Email support@wagertalk.com. We'll credit you back the entire $40 in WagerTalk. Teddy, he's got a tremendous trifecta. I guess he called it that. Pretty lame name, but that's on him. $39. Use the promo code TR150. And of course, I have a 5% play in college football, and you can have it for $15. Use the promo code Prez15. Boys, thank you so much for joining us. I normally do a mic drop to end first pitch. Bicep pump to end college football.
Oh, boy.
I'm the Prez. Hey, no talking. You're not even on the screen. I have gotten rid of you guys. You can both hang up. I'm the Prez. I'm out.